Hello and welcome to News Now. I'm your host, Taylor Inman. We're going over the week's biggest headlines for Northwest Montana. 4 veterans from the Flathead Valley were among those honored by Governor Greg Gianforte with the 2024 Montana Governor Veterans Commendation on Monday. Gianforte said in a statement that honoring veterans with the Montana Governor's Veteran Commendation Award is a small yet meaningful way to express our profound gratitude for their sacrifice, service, and dedication for our freedoms. Among the recipients are Eric Rydam of Big Fork, who served in the U.S. Army from 1980 to 2006, Eric Felberg of Eureka, a U.S. Army Vietnam veteran, Terry Klepler-Spiesel of Coram, who is a member of both the U.S. Army and the Wyoming National Guard, and Luke Opp of Kalispell, a U.S. Marine Corps veteran. The awardees will be celebrated in 2025 with an award ceremony, according to Gianforte's office. Each will receive a special commemorative flag flown over the Montana State Capitol building. The award recognizes outstanding Montana veterans who served the United States in uniform and made a positive impact on their community, according to the governor's office. In 2021, 31 veterans received this award, followed by 51 in 2022 and 39 in 2023. Recipients are chosen based off of nominations. Requirements include that the recipient is a Montana resident, was honorably discharged from the armed services, and demonstrates service to the community. Veterans may not nominate themselves. The Flathead Warming Center on Monday organized a welcome back celebration for shelter guests after reopening for overnight stays last week. About 50 people comprised of shelter volunteers and supporters bundled up to stroll up and down Kalispell's North Meridian Road in the evening hours of November 11th. Organizers said the event was aimed at fostering a warm environment for homeless people who often walk the busy street to get to the warming center. Many held signs that read, "We care for each other in the Flathead," or "All welcome," paired with orange balloons at their side. The shelter reopened for overnight guests on November 7th after federal judge Dana Christensen ruled that the low-barrier homeless shelter could remain open amid its ongoing lawsuit against the city of Kalispell. Kalispell City Council voted to revoke the Warming Center's conditional use permit, which allowed it to operate as a homeless shelter in September. Councilors cited neighbor complaints that homeless individuals using the shelter were having an adverse effect on the neighborhood. In response, a national nonprofit law firm, the Institute for Justice, filed a federal lawsuit backing the shelter, arguing that the city unlawfully revoked its permit. Lynette Galaz organized the walk and is a community organizer who specializes in rallying support around housing issues in the county. She said the walk down North Meridian Road is a means to, quote, challenge some public perceptions about the road and safety when the Warming Center is in operation. Warming Center Chair and co-founder Luke Heffernan said the event, held on Veterans Day, was also meant to show support for former servicemen and women. He said the shelter counts homeless veterans among its clients. Dana Lays was among those holding an orange balloon while walking in support of the shelter. Lays said she was homeless about 10 years ago while living in Redding, California. She has lived in Kalispell for the past 8 years and wanted to take to the streets to show support for the shelter. She said, quote, "I feel a calling to show the homeless that there is hope, that they can come up out of it. I'd like to let the community know that it's not just a lost cause and that it actually does help people," end quote. Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks officials announced on Friday that an elk in southeast Montana tested positive for chronic wasting disease. The elk was located on private land in Hunting District 704 north of the Custer National Forest. This was only the 4th elk across the state to test positive for the always fatal neurological disease since 2017. However, also in October, a 5th elk tested positive in Hunting District 322 in the Ruby Mountains east of Dillon, a region with the highest concentration of the disease in Montana. This hunter-harvested animal was the first CWD positive elk in the Ruby Mountains. According to FWP biologists, the bull elk in southeast Montana was showing symptoms of the disease in mid-October and appeared very thin and lethargic. It was hanging out at a water tank for several days, allowing people to ride horses and drive vehicles close by. When it appeared the elk was showing neurological symptoms and couldn't pick up its head, FWP officials euthanized it and submitted samples for testing. Chronic wasting disease affects members of the deer family, including elk, moose, mule deer, and whitetail deer, and is caused by a malformed prion protein. Symptomatic animals can exhibit neurological and behavioral changes and emaciation. The disease always results in death, and there is no known cure. The disease is present in curvid populations in at least 24 states and 2 Canadian provinces, and first appeared in Montana's wild herds in 2017. In Montana, the vast majority of cases, 99%, have been detected in white-tailed deer and mule deer, though officials say that could be a matter of sampling. Since CWD appeared in the state in 2017, nearly 40,000 deer have been sampled compared to just 4,800 elk and 268 moose. There have been 3 positive cases detected in moose since 2017. CWD-infected animals may not show significant symptoms until the late stages and typically die within 18 to 24 months. So far this year, there have been 50 positive CWD cases out of 1,284 samples tested in Montana. Testing is voluntary for hunters everywhere in the state except for the Libby CWD management area, where approximately 2,000 white-tailed deer tags and 13 mule deer permits in the region are subject to mandatory testing requirements due to the prevalence of CWD there. With confirmation of CWD in elk in southeast Montana, FWP is encouraging hunters to have both deer and elk tested so it can get a better idea of disease prevalence in both populations to help guide management decisions. In both species, the lymph nodes in the neck area are extracted and submitted to state labs, with results available within about 2 weeks. FWP provides assistance with CWD sampling at all regional headquarters during business hours and at CWD sampling stations located around the state. Hunters can bring animal heads with a portion of the neck attached, and FWP will cover the cost of these samples. Hunters may also follow instructions to collect samples themselves and mail them to the state lab at their own cost. FWP now has a policy that any hunter whose animal tests positive for chronic wasting disease will receive replacement tags as long as they turn over the entire animal, including the head. There is no known transmission of CWD to humans. However, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention recommends that hunters harvesting deer and elk or moose in an area where CWD is known to be present have their animal tested prior to consuming the meat, and to not consume the meat if the animal tests positive. Thanks for joining us. News Now is a podcast from the Daily Interlake. We're proud to be the largest independent newsroom in Montana and the oldest paper in the Valley. Local journalism is important, and subscribing to your local newspaper is one of the best things you can do for your community. The Daily Interlake is celebrating its 135th birthday with a special subscription offer of only $19.50 per month for a home-delivered newspaper, plus full digital access to all 8 of our award-winning independent newspapers. Give us a call at 406-755-7018 to sign up today and do your part to keep community journalism alive and thriving. And if you haven't already, subscribe to our YouTube channel to never miss an episode of the pod. Everybody stay safe and have a great week. Thanks to our sponsor, Lawrence Auto Repair at 1309 U.S. Highway 2 in Kalispell. Most consistently rated 5-star shop serving the Kalispell area. Visit lawrenceauto.com.